In this quick demo, I'm going to show how you can deploy a Spring Boot application from your STS4 workspace directly to Cloud Foundry. The first thing we're going to do is select the boot dashboard and create a Cloud Foundry target. I'll have to put in my credentials here to log into Cloud Foundry. And then we can choose to store our password or an auth token or not store it. I like the auth token option because it's still secure, but I don't have to type my password every time. Then we click select space, and it's going to show us which spaces are available to us. I pick this one. This is the one I always use for demos. So let's go. Okay, once I've created my target, it appears here in the boot dashboard. And when you expand it, you can see your applications and services. There are no applications right now, but there are 2 services available that I could use in the applications I deploy. There's a Eureka and a RabbitMQ service there that I could use. Okay, so to deploy my application, the first thing I usually do is create a manifest YAML file, a Cloud Foundry deployment manifest, with some of the details of how I want my app deployed. I already did that ahead of time to speed things up a little bit, so here is the manifest I'm going to use. And then I just have to drag and drop the application from the local services, from the local application section of the dashboard onto the remote section. When I drop it, a dialog pops up and you see that it already selected my manifest because it found it in my project. And I could then change it if I wanted to. I could do a manual deployment instead, which will ignore the manifest and let me type parameters manually. Or I can just accept this manifest, or I can make changes to the manifest if I wanted to. I'm just going to do everything the way it is and click OK here. And there you go. It's going to go through and start deploying my app. This is going to take about a minute maybe. So while it's doing that, let me do a few show a little bit of a demo of the editor features. So you can see that when I hover over things here, you get the documentation for these various properties. So that's convenient. You don't actually have to go online and find the documentation. Also, when you type, it will give you which properties are valid. And again, you see documentation alongside it. So let's, for example, say I want to change the host from its default to Super Chat instead. And maybe I want to add a service as well. And notice that when I add a service here, that it knows about the services on this target, and you get dynamic content assist based on that. So I can select Eureka PWS as an extra service here. And in the meantime, I think my application should be about done deploying. Okay, so my application is deployed. Once your application is deployed, you can easily open it. Just double click it in the boot dashboard. It opens the corresponding web page in a browser. And you see my chat application here. I'm not going to demo the application because that's really not the point of the demo. So the thing I want to demo next is what you can do once you made changes. For example, I made some changes to the deployment manifest. Maybe you could make changes to your app itself as well. In both cases, you might want to redeploy your application and apply those changes to the Cloud Foundry deployment. So that's easy. Just select your application and press restart button. And what you will see is when the app restarts, because I made changes to the manifest, we get this kind of a pop-up that warns us that some changes have been made. And what this shows is basically on this side here is the state of the application as it is found currently on Cloud Foundry, compared to what the manifest that we are using says. And our manifest has changed a few things. This div dialog shows it very clearly. So for example, it shows that I've changed the host name and I've added a service to my deployment. Now, I can either use the manifest as is by clicking this button, forget about the changes I just made and just click forget manifest, or make some changes in this dialog here. So for example, let's say I changed my mind about adding a service, but I still want to change the host name. I can just change this here and say use manifest, and you can see that it removed the service from my manifest, and now the deployment is starting again. Now, this is going to take a little while, but this is more or less where I wanted to end my demo. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.